All right.
Welcome to Drawing Hive.
All right, John.
I'm working on it. Come on, you can do it.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. If you're here to draw, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Drawing Hive. Just remember, the Drawing Hive is brought to you by Visual Arts Passage, and Visual Arts Passage is an online resource that helps people develop careers in illustration and painting. So we're going to have a little bit of different format, not really same format. We're going to be doing 3 poses, but we got a guest tonight, which I think is really cool. And we had a guest a few weeks ago with Tony Rodriguez, and we have a really great guest I'm going to introduce in just a second. But tonight our topic is the bear, and you know, it's no surprise anymore because we post the images so earlier, so everybody knows what we're doing. I feel kind of silly about going through, hey, we're going to draw the bear, but these are our references. This was our guest had some input on this for sure. It was a topic that he wanted to draw, and a couple of the images are things that he chose, and I'm excited about it. We've done the bear before. Jeremy Allen White is a fun guy to draw, a really interesting face.
Like the David.
IO is fantastic. I mean, that's a great shot. And I'm not going to say the guest name yet. I mean, we all know because Timmy's been
talking it up.
Yeah, we've been talking it up. But again, we're gonna do the same format, 2 20-minute poses and then a 40-minute pose. You can draw all 4, you can draw 1. But just like beat the drum a little bit. And here's our guest tonight, is Nate Sweitzer. Hey, thank you for being here.
Drum roll. Thank you for having me.
This is so cool, man. It's like watching what you're doing in the industry right now. You got the world by the tail. Everything, I mean, and deservingly so. Your work's terrific, and kudos to all the success you're having. We can talk much more about that. I pulled a few images just so everybody can see. This is marvelous. I love this piece. It's so charming.
Thank you.
Some incredible energy in these things. Beautifully drawn, beautifully executed. That Muddy Waters piece kills me.
I love that one so much.
That thing just slays me. It's beautiful. And then this guy. I thought that was very, it's fun going through your work and seeing a few things from Drawing Hive pop up.
Yeah.
Some references. So thank you for being here in the past, and I really appreciate you doing this tonight. We can have a lot of fun talking about what you're doing and some of the things that are happening to you, which was really got a little bit of a update right before we started. But Timmy, I'm good until we do our educational section.
You might have to talk before then, but yeah. No, we're good. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, it's time to draw.
We've already got our hashtag picked out for the night. Some people have already been. I love the cheaters that start early. Thank you for sharing your work. Tonight's hashtag. Well, first of all, please post your work on Instagram. We're going to check it out at the end of the show. The hashtag is Yes Chef Hive.
I love that one.
Chef Hive, hashtag Drawing Hive, and Avid Visual Arts Passage. Drop it in the caption, and we're going to check it out at the end of the night. All right. So Nate, we're expecting, even though it is a debate night, we are expecting the Sweitzer bump.
See if I can deliver for you guys.
The Sweitzer bump in attendance, which I'm expecting. But no, thanks for coming on. This is exciting.
Thank you for
All right.
having me today.
Yeah.
I mean, this program was such a huge deal for me, especially during COVID. Just having something to do on a Thursday night since I was no longer at my college. I mean, this is a
Yeah.
pretty good alternative, probably much healthier alternative to whatever we were going to get up to. So
Yeah.
You
So-
could have called me. I would have given you some suggestions.
Hey, so what do you it's the guest part of this is kind of fun because the panel usually they have their materials they tend to stick to, they deviate, of course. But what are you gonna work with tonight? What's your plan?
that's a great question. I'm going to feel out as I go. I think I'm starting with graphite here, just so I can get a little comfortable. I think drawing while I talk, and we'll see where I can go from there, depending on if I'm feeling it or not. But I'll get into some mixed media stuff, hopefully, if I can.
Nate,
Yeah.
Nate, apparently you didn't get the memo I sent you. I sent you the approved list of guest drawing materials.
Oh,
And
no, I think I see that in my.
Yeah.
My approved materials is something you'd find in the trash.
Yeah. Which I love that. Nate, your dad sent me a painting of my dad and it was on a pizza box. I love it. It's cherished. Yeah. It's
Loves
like
the
a toast.
pizza boxes.
It's like a Tostitos. Yeah.
I wonder who influenced that.
That's a Chicago classic. That's their usual medium of choice. He stops short of the sauce and the thick sausage patties, but he trusts with
Yeah.
the boxes, so that's good.
So you grew up in Chicago, Nate?
Yeah, I grew up in the city till elementary school, and then we moved about 45 minutes north. And the rest of the way I was in Libertyville, Illinois.
Did you spend a lot of time going into the city?
Yeah, a decent amount. We had high school art stuff. We had a lot of shows there, which was
Yeah.
cool. We always spent a lot of time at the museums. I mean, that was a huge thing for me. I mean, half of my early drawing was pulling up to the field museum and seeing the dinosaurs and going home and drawing the dinosaurs, and going to the planetarium. We were drawing the same solar system, 8 planets, with like our circle template that my dad had, like over and over again. Like it was like just being in that place,
Yeah.
and the public libraries there and everything. I mean, it was huge for.
Was a lot of your early education art focused?
I guess in a way, I guess as far as understanding the
Mhm.
world, it was always very much art focused, because that's something I always kind of had access to, as far as like having nice materials and having people I can bug to help
Yeah.
me draw stuff to explain it and stuff. So
Yeah.
that was definitely a big part of it for me. I still don't learn something very well until I draw it sometimes. And even like in high school, like I would have to kind of draw it during class sometimes to even like listen well, which seemed counterintuitive certainly to my teachers. But
Yeah.
think about keeping your pencil moving kept my brain moving, when otherwise I was just thinking about
Oh
whatever.
my gosh, I'm the same way. I totally get that. It makes all the difference.
It really does help. Especially there were a lot of college classes where they put on a movie or something and we're like watching this old, like Battleship Potemkin or something, and it's like, how am I gonna stay awake for this? I'm on 4 hours of sleep. But if you start drawing, all of a sudden you're good. Your brain has problems to solve.
Hmm.
Is when you guys do note taking, is it intelligible to another person? Or is
No,
it
not really.
No, mine's like a stream of consciousness probably,
Yeah.
but like for me, it like I read it over and I can like hear the lecture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always thought that was funny about wasn't it like Da Vinci that like his notebooks were like coded?
Yeah, he had to protect his IP. I mean, he was
Yeah.
He had an
designing
image
a
to keep,
military
you know?
weapon.
I just think it's funny because I've always thought like my notes like no need to code them.
Yeah. Yeah,
They
mine look
are-
like word stacks usually.
yeah. Yeah, I'll like, oh well, that one's triple underline.
What was this ideation page for? Oh, that
Yeah.
that was a geometry class.
Yeah, yeah. So do you have, because I know your dad, obviously we all know your dad's an artist. Randy is a drawing hive.
He's a regular.
Yeah, he's a regular. Do you have a lot of other artists in your family, or are you two the strongholds?
We have a lot of draftsmen in our family. My grandpa was an engineer at GM. So he has that like great architectural handwriting from working there in like the 50s and 60s. My mom's was an interior designer. So
Oh wow.
I mean, I had a lot of people I could refer to for help with stuff. And my great grandma painted too, a little bit on my dad's side, but relatively new, I think, I mean, generationally to the arts, I think, on both sides.
That's great. I don't really have to ask the question, but I'm just gonna make the assumption you got a tremendous amount of encouragement.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. Yeah.
and 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 then because people understanding people that were part of it was it related to their careers. So when like, did you know what you wanted to do when you were in high school or before? Did you know?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of resisted for a second just because when you grow up with an illustrator as your, you know, main source of household income, you do notice there may be some holes in this plan as a long-term viable strategy. But I knew that was generally what I wanted to do. I knew whatever I was going to be doing, it was going to have to be creative and it was going to involve some sort of drawing, even if that wasn't for my main gig necessarily. But by probably a year into high school, I was pretty sure, down to the fact like I probably want to do illustration or graphic design or something in that.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, it's great. You knew the differences, and I mean, when you chose to go to school, where you went to school at College of Creative Studies,
Yeah.
I mean, you knew you went there because of the illustration department.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that was a huge part. I mean, it was down to who's the faculty here. Like,
Did you know who? I mean, Don and Francis and Eric?
Francis.
I mean, did you know who some of those people were?
Yeah, Francis, I think came out with Jazz Day when I was probably like a sophomore, maybe junior in.
For anybody wondering, that's Francis Vallejo.
Yeah, Francis Vallejo, sorry, yeah. Just a fantastic artist, hugely impactful on my career. And just seeing that illustration work, I was like, oh man, I feel like I should just go here, like, and bug this guy as much as I can to teach me what he knows. And I was familiar with Don's work as well, and got to meet with him a little bit while I was still in high school. We went and visited CCS, and my dad helped arrange a little sit down to go over the program and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it was a huge part of going there, and it was a huge part of what I decided to do once I got there too, because I was still, I was trying to like minor in graphic design. I was still kind of thought graphic design might be my thing, but I was like, all right, these people are right here ready to teach me everything they know about this specific kind of illustration. Like, even if 3 years from now I want my work to look totally different, I might as well learn this and learn exactly what they're doing, because it was so just captivating to me seeing their work. So,
Cool. Did you go through like their foundations program? I mean, the first year?
yeah, foundations. I just started. I think I could have maybe gotten out of the first drawing class, but I just wanted to take the whole thing and get a sense for how everything was working there.
And then I have to thank you for coming to visit us for a while at Visual Arts Passage.
Oh yeah.
And I know that Edward and Sterling had a big influence on you. And they had a big influence on Francis, especially Sterling. I love like the lineage. I was looking at for those of you who don't know, there was a great write-up in Communication Arts Magazine, uh, uh, with Nate, featuring Nate, and Nate very kindly said some nice things about us, mentioned us, gave us a shout out. That to me, that is the publication that makes the biggest difference. I mean, it's the publication that, everybody we want to work for looks at. In most cases, on the publishing and editorial side, advertising side. I think it's in that, the obvious one, Society of Illustrators, and which you've been in 3x3, Society of Illustrators, Sila. What else am I missing?
World Illustration or Association of I don't know what they want to call themselves, but
Right.
that one.
And how long have you been out? I mean, you haven't been out of school all that long, but
Yeah, I graduated in the spring of 2022.
okay. So you have covered some major ground,
Yeah.
and congratulations.
Thank you, John. I
Yeah,
appreciate
and thank you. I mean, it's extremely well deserved. But you know what? You were prepared, and you were properly prepared, and that's it's not nothing against College for Creative Studies, but it's not the degree, it's the portfolio,
For
and
sure.
you had the body of work to and prepared yourself to go to work. And that it's like proof in the pudding, that's is in the pudding. That's how it works. So
Yeah, it was big for me to be able to go from taking classes with Francis to over the summer taking a class with Edward and taking class with Sterling. I mean, it was just, it'd be hard to not get better learning from those classes. I mean,
yeah,
they're just really just such great resources for like guiding you to whatever you want to do. And if you pay attention, watch how they do it, they're willing to share every piece of their process. I mean, that's why I always try to show as much of mine as I can. I mean, I'm still definitely tooling around with it and figuring out what I want to do, but it's so helpful, I think, to be able to see how the professionals are doing it at any given time. I mean, it's just such an invaluable resource, or at least it was for me.
well, I had the good fortune of having both of those guys and Don and Francis as students at some point, and watching them grow up. And it's so interesting to see their commitment, their dedication, knowing where they wanted to go, and then offering them a place they could get the right information. So I love the connections.
Yeah. Well, I think my first big like illustration love was probably NC Wyatt. That's who we had the art books of at home, probably when I was like 5 or 6. I mean, and what great, just like material for a 5 or 6-year-old. You've got
Yeah.
King Arthur, you've got Robin Hood. I mean, it's just like
Treasure Island.
Treasure Island, Pirates. Yeah. I mean,
Great image making paired with great narrative, and great narrative image making. And it's so much fun to go back and look. And have you been to Brandywine?
I have not. I would love to go.
You're not
You
that far.
have to go.
You just
Where
got to
is
go
that?
north now. So
John, can you add some context to that?
Brandywine is the museum in just outside of Philadelphia, pretty far outside Philadelphia. I think the actual land was the Wyeth farm,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It was.
and the all of that stuff, Wyeth existed. In my opinion, all of that stuff started with Howard Pyle in Delaware, in the mid 1880s, and he opened up a summer program that included many of the great early Wyeth and Schoonover, and uh, the Red Rose Girls. I mean, there's so many great illustrators that are connected to Howard Pyle. And then that museum, the Brandywine Museum, is really the home of that lineage of American illustration. And it's marvelous. It's a beautiful museum. It's just, to go and look at that work and see that a lot of that work, and to go and visit NC Wyeth's studio. It's a pretty amazing thing.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Cassandra went there with me.
Yep. And I watched Gary Kelly get told that he had inaccurate information.
Yeah, from the docent. Said, no, you're wrong.
Oh gosh.
That was one of the funnier moments of my life, I think.
I believe you were holding back tears in that moment.
Yeah.
So Nate, what have you been working on? Maybe what have you been working on that you can talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a weird spot now where almost everything I've been working on that is not currently out, I can't really talk about. I have an exciting editorial piece, kind of tangential to the Olympics that should be out. I'm guessing they're timing it so that it kind of comes out as the Olympics are getting
Right.
happen here. So that'll be out pretty soon. I would just say monitor, if you're not following my Instagram and you're curious at some point, just monitor it over the next couple months, because I don't want to get myself into any trouble here on YouTube.
Smart.
When did this come out? Oh my gosh, what are you doing? Like, you're in breach. Like, so I'll play my cards close to the vest for once in my life.
No,
But
I think it's smart of you. A rapper that I really love just had a deal with it wasn't Fortnite, it's a Fortnite like game, and he made a post and alluded to it, and it completely fumbled the deal.
Yeah.
They pulled it completely. It was awful. Like millions of dollars
oh jeez, that's
because of
brutal.
an Instagram post.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, you just had to behave yourself.
Well, those
yeah.
aren't the stakes. I hope.
No, but there's
I
stakes
definitely don't stand to
nonetheless.
gain.
But it's
millions
good
of
habits to
dollars, so
be
I hate to
in.
lose, but
Stakes nonetheless. Yeah. No, Cassandra, what have you been working on? How many you got, like 50 shows next
Oh
week?
my gosh, I kind of like pushed too hard. So
Yeah.
I gave myself a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Because I had 12 shows, including a solo, between January and beginning of June. And it was a bit much. So I had to do some things to kind of re-energize. So I learned how to make my own pigments. So I did that for a bit. I'm currently making my own lawn gnome, outdoor lawn gnome. So
Oh, really?
yeah, so that's fun.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's in the plaster phase, and next up is paper mache cement.
Have you ever considered like how much you would just make a killing like with an Etsy shop? Your lawn ornaments.
I don't even know
That's
how you would
amazing.
ship it, but it's
Oh
fun.
yeah.
I'll show you it when I
Yeah, I
when
love
it
it.
gets farther, but it's been fun doing that. And I finished a big cardboard hippo head that ended up almost life size. So I'm working on, I have a whole bunch of shows that are coming up, and I'm prepping
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff. I'm working on a painting right now, but I'm also on my kids' summer schedule. So they're doing like a 3-hour like summer immersion program. So
Yeah.
I get like 3 hours Monday through Thursday that I can paint my paintings. So I've been just like slowly chipping away at this painting of an opossum.
Yeah. So 3 hours. So is that drop off and then you got to be back 3 hours right then? Or is that
My husband rocks. He handles morning drop
okay?
off, and then I do pick up. So
Okay. So you
that
have a true 3 hours.
I got to roll 3 hours, but
Yeah.
I like am slow, to start the day. I'm used to like I sip my coffee, I scrape my palette, and I like to kind of ease into it. And instead,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just sliding into my seat at the easel and painting
Yeah.
fast.
The second you said 3 hours, I was like 15 minutes of that is coffee, like
Yeah.
easily.
Oh, hands down.
You know?
Man, I would like barely get my paint mixed, my palette ready.
Yeah.
That's, man, that's moving.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, it's been brutal because I'm adding two opossum babies to this piece, and it's like a lot of ornate puff sleeves, and I just feel like all I'm doing is the next day I sit down for my next block of time that I get, and I'm like fixing what I did the day before. So it's been slow. Everything moves slow right now, but maybe that's good for me since I was going so fast previously.
So I think to help you out, at least 1 week, we have to have like a possum night or something. So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you can do a painting in
What are
here
we gonna do?
and double dip.
I truly like opossums are my favorite animal, so I am always for an opossum night.
We need to do that.
When you
Mhm.
when you say opossum versus possum, am I just saying possum wrong?
So now we've kind of adopted the vernacular of possum. I can totally explain this for you. Possum technically is the Australian marsupial. So that is a
Okay.
different marsupial, but now we'll just call opossums possums because it just everyone got used to calling them that. But technically, what we have
Yeah.
here in the US are opossums,
That's like buffalo
specifically
and
the
bison.
Virginia opossum.
Yeah. I got it. All right. John, whenever you are ready. No
Oh,
rush though.
I
No rush.
I completely forgot.
You forgot. You
Okay.
forgot the big show. That's why
So
everyone's here.
yeah, I
Do you
know.
want me, do
I
you want
was
me to,
having fun
do you want
drawing
your
Jeremy.
cue?
It's looking good.
Do you
But
want your
that-
cue?
Yeah, hold on. I got my my green crayon. All right. I've been trying to have a little bit of tie-in for each thing we're doing. And so I was thinking we got 4th of July coming up. Next week, Timmy, I mean, is it okay to talk about what we're going to draw next week?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to be doing like Americana.
Well, and just to be clear, everybody, next week we're taking off.
Yeah, we're not
drawing
we're
on
just
the
going to
holiday.
post some images that,
Yeah.
you know, just so people can draw. And you might tell them what we did this week. We have something cool coming out that hopefully we'll be able to get to that they can see. And then so Americana, and when you think of Americana, and I was thinking, okay, Nate Sweitzer, and then I'm thinking Francis Vallejo, and then of course you got to go to Norman Rockwell.
Yeah.
And there's nobody more Americana than Norman Rockwell. Perfect person for the 4th. I will argue this point with anybody. He is the greatest American illustrator to ever live. And
a good debate opponent for you.
Yeah,
We'd have a debate night.
no, there's no debating. The success and the impact he had on pop culture, on establishing what he established in the magazines as the look, and it's not, you know, it's not everybody's thing. It's just he just had success that nobody else has had. He had the venue. There was illustrators that, you know, were very successful for, you know, periods of time. I mean, even somebody in my family that I mean, I'm not saying he was the greatest artist that ever existed or made the best images of anybody. I mean, he was phenomenal, and that people have their personal taste, but there's nobody can argue the impact that he had. Just an amazing impact. Norman was born in 1894 in New York City. He started working as an illustrator when he was 16. He was hired to do 4 Christmas cards when he was 16. He became the art director for the Scouting magazine, which became Boys Life magazine, when he was 20 years old. That's insane. I mean, it's absolutely insane. He did his first Saturday Evening Post when he was 22 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And then he happened to do, I think he did 320 more over 47 years of just the Saturday Evening Post. Amazing. This was a piece that was first seen in his what is it? My Life as an Illustrator is a very successful book published about Norman's life, and his three-stage portrait here. Very famous piece. That was one of the first. It was, I think, that was published like in the 50s at some point. The showing some earlier work right now, and he got more mileage out of a model and out of a character. Think of it. Think of, again. I'll show more of this that relates to his photography and stuff later on. But what he did with the character was just tremendous. Nate, you agree with me?
Yes.
Say yes.
Not much for a debate night, but
Not a lot to debate. It's like every artist, it's like you can't go to like a genre of the illustrator, even somebody that's like really out in left field, like Baron Story. He would still say Norman Rockwell. No, it's totally opposed to what he did. You just can't argue with the success that he had. Amazing draftsman. When he was 16 years old, he left high school and went to art school. I don't know how he did that, but he ended up at the Art Students League, and there was this gentleman there by name of George Bridgman. And if you go into an art supply store and you look at a lot of those drawing books of how to draw whatever, you'll see Andrew Loomis and George Bridgman. George Bridgman was a great analytical drawer, academic drawer, and Norman, in fact, this in a very personal way. I was at the Rockwell Museum a couple of years ago, and the chief curator there, Stephanie Plunkett, showed me a bunch of his drawings that he did as a young man that were Bridgman studies. It was really amazing. If only Francis would have been there. He would have lost his mind.
Right.
But it's just amazing. He also studied with the illustrator Thomas Fogarty there, and he influenced what kind of like the small town. Again, it's not everybody's view of America. I just did an interview with it was very funny what he had to say about it with Rudy Gutierrez, and he said, yeah, he didn't represent a lot of people. He only represented a certain portion of what America was, but those were the people buying the magazines.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Amazing talent, really put to work. I mean, you can see N.C. Wyeth in that work. I mean, in this piece.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Well, not just like how he influenced movies too.
Oh, absolutely. And then you're going to see, I love this piece. I mean, of all of his, all of the cover pieces, just the character in these figures. I mean, he got so much mileage, and he wasn't hiring professional models. He was using people from his hometown. As I said, his family moved out. I think they moved to like New Rochelle, New York, when he was like 20 years old, or he ended up out in New Rochelle, just outside of New York City, and then eventually ended up in Vermont. In the early teens, I mean, the early 1915, 1916, ended up in Vermont and lived there and raised a family there for a long, I think, until the 30s, when he eventually moved to Stockbridge, Massachusetts. I got my numbers all off there, and I apologize. But he probably had his most prominent period during the 30s and 40s. And this, you know, this stuff that relates to post covers, things like this, the charm, just the facilitation. This is obviously after he'd moved to Stockbridge. This is the downtown of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, where he lived on Main Street. And when I'll tell a personal story about it. To the right, that big white building is the Red Lion Inn. Charming little town. It's the town. We'll tie something else together. It's where Alice's restaurant was supposed to have happened, the Arlo Guthrie movie and song. But he had just amazing facilitation. Handled figures so well. And look at these characters. During the some pieces that are going to come up here during right as about America was jumping into World War II, Roosevelt did a really impassionate talk to the country that inspired him to start doing to do work to benefit that. We all know Rosie the Riveter, but he did the 4 freedom pieces that they made, that they used. They're about to come up here in a second, that they wrapped war bonds where you could if you in denominations of like $25, $50, $100 and $1,000. In 1943, I want to get to some of these images. I thought they were sooner, but in 1943, based on Roosevelt, he did the 4 freedoms. And the 4 freedoms in 1943, this is the freedom of speech. This is one of them. Raised $130 million.
Wow, I hadn't
War
realized
bonds.
it.
That's an illustrator. Talk about impact.
Yeah.
What would that be worth now? I mean,
I was going to say, I think that that's got to
we're-
be that I bet that number is inflated already.
No, well, no, that number was not inflated. That's what he raised in 1943. That was the
That's
actual number.
wild.
It was wildly successful. So freedom of worship, freedom of fear, and freedom of want. And they produced, the number was insane. It was like 10,000 prints of these that they sold bonds of that. It might, no, 10,000, it might have been like 10 million. It was just
I was going to say 10,000 wouldn't be enough.
It would have to be like
Yeah.
10 million posters that were connected to selling these bonds. Just insane. Look at I mean, God, I love this piece. Look at the charm of that character.
And look how he handles the shadow and the light.
That ear.
Yes.
That is an awesome ear.
I can see Dale drooling over that ear.
Yeah. But I'm sure it has such a great, of a young, growing, maybe 12 to 14-year-old child, teenager, that gangliness. I mean, it's all there. The pose, everything. Look at these characters. Just amazing. This is one of my favorites. And you can think of, all the illustrators that influenced. I can see Kobe Whitmore in this work, another great American illustrator that came after, that was totally influenced by this work, as they all were. Joe Demers, Joe Bowler, really, really special stuff. This is some later work, obviously. Work done in the 60s. And he got a little bit more sensitive in subject matter and point of view with his work.
that one.
This was for Boy Scout magazine. He was a serious uh, donator and promoter of the Boy Scouts. This has, I won't get into the story, but I'll just tell you briefly. I won't explain the whole thing, but this piece, he gave this piece, or it was purchased by one of his neighbors who was a very good friend of his that was a comic artist. And so the comic artist knew he was getting divorced, so he repainted it. And he hid the piece in the wall, created a fake wall in his studio and hid the original. And the piece was donated. The person who bought it donated it to the Norman Rockwell Museum, and somebody pointed out that's not the original. Long story short, he was getting a divorce and he was trying to hide it from his wife. And it all came out when he died, and the family was cleaning out his house, and they found the original piece in the fake wall in his studio. Pretty
I was
amazing.
gonna say, please tell me they got it out of the wall.
Yep, they did. And the family sold it for millions of dollars at a Sotheby's auction. Always loved this piece.
Yes.
It's so perfect because of who painted it. To me, it means so much more. If anybody else painted it, it wouldn't mean as much. But because Norman did it, it means a lot. Because
It's
of what,
such a flex too. Like, oh yeah, I'll do that.
yeah.
I can
Yeah,
do
absolutely. I'll do a
Alec.
Alec. I can do that.
Yeah.
This piece, this piece is a very popular piece of his, and I always felt it didn't feel like him. And I don't know why. It just didn't feel as much. It didn't have as much Norm in it, and it's probably because it's not as much.
It's simpler as his
Yeah.
pieces go, but I felt like it's a wonderful example of like beautiful shape and composition.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great piece. This is one of my all-time favorites of his. This is what he could do better than anybody. The charm that he got out and the personality he got from a figure. I mean, that story, that figure and the little girl with the black eye tells the whole story, right?
Mhm.
So much there. If you buy there's lots of books on Rockwell. If you buy any book, this one, Behind the Camera, is absolutely amazing.
I got that one because of you.
It's just wonderful.
Really is.
And then, look what he, again, what he could do with his reference, how much further he took it. He got great models from people that he saw that he thought would be perfect for it, neighbors, people in his community. And then he took it so much further.
I always thought there was a lot of Chuck Jones in the way he drew that guy over.
Mhm.
Like, so designed. It's really, really smart stuff.
Well, wouldn't that be the other way around?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, similar time periods.
I think that I don't think Chuck Jones was born in 1890. I don't know. I could be
I don't
wrong.
know. That's a good point. I mean, he
Yeah, I'll have to look that
started
up.
in the 40s, but
Yeah.
it depends on when that one was.
Yeah. Yeah, he started in the teens. So this is my favorite photograph of him. And I love, my favorite thing about it is him getting everything right, getting all the mileage he could out of the reference. And that coat, he wanted it feel like it was blowing, so he's got it tied up on strings. It's awesome. I mean, it's like, that's how you get great reference. He hired he always like had a photographer help him, and had real serious reference, sessions. So here's the Norman Rockwell. This is at the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. This is his studio, his original studio. They moved it from where it originally was. It used to be in his backyard off of Main Street. And I'm going to tie it a little bit together. That's me at the Society of Illustrators at the bar. That's the Norman Rockwell Stagecoach painting, which he donated when they bought the building. That painting has meant a tremendous amount to the Society of Illustrators. First of all, it's probably worth more than the building. No, it is. And it's been a staple of that building. The first time I walked, not that I was hanging out at bars when I was 8 years old, but I did hang out at that bar when I was 8 years old. My father used to sit me at the bar while he was talking to art directors. Not that I did it frequently, but I probably did it, I don't know, 6 or 7 times in my childhood of going
That's so cool.
into New York with him and seated, and the bartender would give me Coca-Colas for 3 hours when my dad was having lunch or doing something at the Society of Illustrators. Coca-Colas with cherries in them. And it was just, I don't know, it legacy thing. Nate, I hate to tell it, you're part of all of that. You're going to be part of all that legacy. It goes back, and so much of it started with Norman. He is the original Hall of Fame member in 1958. He was the first Hall of Fame member at the New York Society of Illustrators, which is the biggest honor as an American illustrator. And so, having an opportunity to see that, didn't mention this part. I went to Stockbridge with my father and mother and Fred and Fran Otness, and we didn't visit them. We just saw Norman's house. And I remember seeing this studio when I was I was a kid. I was under 10 years old. And then the next time I saw it was 3 years ago at the Norman Rockwell Museum, 2 years ago, and got to tour it and go inside of it and stuff. I only saw it from the outside, but it is so well preserved. The whole narrative of Norman at that museum is just fantastic. And then, figuring out who Norman was when I was a kid and seeing all that, it's just, it's a part of it. And it's a huge part of my life. Not that it really is, not that I ever met Norman Rockwell. My father did, but I didn't. But as artists, how we look at other artists and their careers, you almost feel like you know them. I mentioned that the other night about Hans Holbein. It's like I stared at his work so much, and I just wondered about the person, the man who drew these things, the individual who drew them. So that's my talk for tonight. You can't do any better than Norman Rockwell. Anyway, Timmy, I'm done.
Yeah. All right, everybody. So that first pose, pretty long one. So everybody, let's start posting your work to Instagram. It's hashtag yes chef Hive, hashtag drawing Hive and at Visual Arts Passage. Please give us a tag. We're gonna check it out at the end of the night. That was great. Really
Thanks for
interesting.
that, John. I never get tired, and I don't disagree with you about Norman Rockwell ever. Like he's one of my top artists for sure.
Yeah, and it's like he's not my favorite illustrator. I mean, I have other artists that I like their aesthetic better, or my favorite painter or favorite artist. He was just magnificent and so important to pop culture and the American view. And he kind of established a look and feel of what rural America was, and or how people perceived it. And he was very, very important. I mean, and he absolutely amazing artist, amazing illustrator. It's hard to decide. I always, favorites is a tough thing, and it's a moving target too, because as you learn and grow, you go from one to the next, and you come back to them. And I got so excited listening to Edward Kinsella do a talk for us recently, and him talking about Toulouse-Lautrec. And I've always been a huge fan of Toulouse-Lautrec, and I've been looking at his work a lot since Edward brought him up, because it brought him to top of mind again. That's how it works, you just
Totally.
you explore and learn through others.
By the way, because Tony brought it up, I like asked for the Toulouse Trek cookbook for my birthday and I got it.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah,
That is awesome.
yeah.
Was it
I
any?
am. Do
Sorry,
you like?
what?
Have you cooked anything from it yet?
I haven't cooked from it yet. I only just got it. But I read through it and there's a lot of interesting things like suggestions about like how to catch a chicken and and then cook it and what's the right timing for those items and like it's very random things. So I know I'm gonna find some real gems in it. I'm just more gonna read it over a few times before I can figure out where to start because it's not like take a cup of this and add this. It's just like you roast the chicken, no other details. You just roast the chicken and then you make the sauce. And it's like you kind of have to play around a bit.
So I assume it's French food.
Yes. But it's written in English. So or translated.
Well, that would be good for me.
Yeah, yeah. Je parle un peu français.
So I'm reading about the war bonds.
I
It's
was gonna
pretty.
ask about that. I didn't really understand what a war
Yeah,
bond
because I was
was.
like, I don't really understand. So a bond, it's a bond. You basically pay security, and then 10 years for a war bond. A war bond is 10 years, to until it like reaches maturity. And Norman Rockwell's those posters were used to market the war bond.
Yeah.
So they didn't sell 132 million, like for anybody to be confused by this.
No, they used it to raise money.
It just marketed it. So people were still making a financial investment in a war bond. I thought it was implied that they were
No, I
that
didn't.
like it was
I
a,
didn't mean it
yeah,
that way. If I applied
yeah.
it, I apologize. But
No, it was just the American war bond system. So that, I mean, the number you mentioned was how many war bonds were sold at that time, which for inflation is $132 million. But like, it might be a little confusing to say it's just now they did end up printing many of the posters and then selling them, which you can get on eBay now. And they're pretty cool. There's a ton of them.
yeah, he did other.
And they're like very,
beyond the.
they're like very reasonably priced. They're like this is an original 1943 Freedom for Want. Looks like it's in great condition. $375. Pretty good deal. I mean, if you're looking for a poster of a Thanksgiving themed poster. Yeah. Cassandra, I'm loving Maddie Madison. That's awesome.
Yeah, he has a good face. I'm trying to see if I can pull it off.
He's my favorite character. He's such a great actor. I've followed him on Instagram for like 15 years now. Like,
What else has he been in?
well, he's like kind of a jack of all trades. So he's a personality, but he's like a really amazing cook.
Oh, really? I didn't know he was a great cook.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so he's always been like, he used to work with Vice News a lot. But yeah, no, he's he's the real life version of the bear. Like,
That's so cool.
yeah. Just like less of, I think, of a heartthrob, maybe. Like Jeremy Allen White's like looking off at nothing, like his like brooding.
And we just enjoy his bone structure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't.
Nate,
Look.
that's looking awesome.
Gosh,
you.
Nate, that's amazing. So Nate, you're a fan of the show, obviously, right?
Oh yeah.
What is the Chicago energy around the show? Is everybody pretty much excited about it?
I'm not as tapped in probably as I should be.
Yeah.
Since I'm no longer there, but as someone who grew up there, it's deeply nostalgic for me seeing a lot of similar sights and sounds. I'd been to that Mr. restaurant when I was very young.
Mhm.
That's a good question. I mean, it seems like it's from as my limited understanding of the city, having not lived there since
Yeah.
I was 7, it seems pretty spot on.
Really?
I've definitely met Richie Jaramovich before. Like he definitely played basketball with my dad.
Oh,
Oh,
that's so
really?
cool.
That's great.
That's a very, it's like, I know that guy.
Yeah. So I spent a weekend in Chicago with Salacuse. We did a shoot at a Wiener Circle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that felt, it's pretty fun. There's a director out there named James Webb. He's like, I mean, basically, if you've watched any like stand-up special on Netflix, he's directed, like, it feels like he's directed half of them, but he's a Chicago guy, and he showed up with a bottle of Malort and made everybody take a shot. And that was my
What's
first
Malort?
time.
I'm sorry. What's Malort?
Honestly, I can't answer it. Nate, maybe you can
Like a
answer it.
it's a new type of thing. I think that's only in the last 5 or 10 years that that's started to catch on again. But it used to
As
be
like a Chicago thing. I thought it was like
yeah.
old school
Oh,
Chicago
it's super old school
booze.
Chicago,
Yeah.
but it
Okay.
skipped a few generations, I think.
Okay,
Because
yeah. So it's like coming back as like
yes, yeah, it's
yeah,
like a hipster sort of. It's like putting
yeah.
out a wax record, I think. But,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Cassandra, it's disgusting. It tastes like honestly, I don't know. Like it tastes like mouthwash and like candy canes.
Oh, wow. That's distinctive.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not even a good explanation of it, but it was just like yuck. It was gnarly. But Wiener Circle, wild place. It's a hot dog stand, and these kids out in New York were doing a pop-up comedy show there that's like they fly people in. It's a huge show. Um, the wait list was like there were like 15,000 people on their wait list to get in. And
Wow.
and the whole thing about this like hot dog stand is like it's mostly women running the stand, and they just humiliate you as you order.
Oh, so it's like kind
And
of that kind of shtick thing.
no, but you know what though? I've seen that shtick. There's a restaurant in Kansas City,
Like
Gates.
diner, there's diners that I've heard
Yeah,
about.
but this is the place where I heard things that I was like stunned by. And I've been to all the places where they're mean to you, like, but this was like, oh, and they like this was like shocking, I would say. I would describe it as shocking. Yeah. And while we were there, a police officer arrived, and it was a private event, and they wanted to just like they were like the lady running the place was like, sorry, this is a private, we're not serving the public at all. And he still wanted like special treatment, and there was a crowd there, and it was probably 3 of these cops, and this lady just it was like the whole time I was thinking, man, you just gotta leave, this is humiliating. It was unreal.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, I felt like I got like a good slice of Chicago because I haven't spent too much time there. um it
What
just
time
felt
of
like,
year were you there?
oh, that was like, I don't know. I can't remember. It wasn't brutal cold.
Chicago's like a resort town in the summer. At least it used to be. I don't know if it, I mean, because of the lake and how,
Yeah.
people perceived it. I used to go, I've been in the summer a few times, and I used to go in the winter, like go right before Christmas and Christmas shop. Did that 3 or 4 years with my wife. It was an extremely fun trip.
Oh, that's neat.
But no, Cassandra,
Yeah.
they were so good, Cassandra, that the comics we recommended, we were like, hey guys, this is kind of impromptu, but you guys should do a roast, like a roast battle, right?
Hmm.
Where 2 people go up. Have you guys ever seen a roast battle? 2 comics, and they just are mean as hell to each other. Like
I've like heard of it, but I don't think I've actually watched someone roast each
they're
other.
wild. Like they usually talk beforehand and say like what's on the table, what's not on the table.
Oh,
Um,
good. There's
but
just there's bound to
but
be.
if you watched one, you'd be like, there's no way this didn't hurt. Right. And literally all the comics were like, I do not want to go toe to toe with anybody that works here because they have way more practice. They were like, no way, not doing it. Yeah. Yeah. Someone asked Nate, you've got a huge pencil. What's the love the eraser on it and size of it? Never seen that before.
Blackwing.
Blackwing?
Yeah, these are really great. They move around a lot. They're pretty soft. They have them at most art supply stores, I think. I might have gotten it online or something, but I love these. I think Sterling might swear by them. Some illustrator.
Sterling. Sterling sent me as a gift one year, sent me a box of them, and I'm
Okay,
just
better.
finishing my last one. They're wonderful.
Yeah, they're really
Just
good.
started trying them for the first time. They are really nice. Like because I kept hearing you guys all talk about it.
Yep, I'm a fan. I don't really like drawing with any other pencils if I can avoid it. Sometimes I can't find my box, but they're my go-to.
Spoiled by them.
Yep, definitely.
Do you have a preference? Do you go for like the classic one, or do you like because there's one that goes darker,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I guess I like the more medium one
Mhm.
more usually. Just it's a little easier to control for illustration stuff. But when I'm just kind of having fun, I like using the real dark one because it covers ground a lot quicker. This I could just kind of make a bunch of nasty marks and put water on it, and it kind of created a nice little tone for me. So I like it for it's like qualities where you could just kind of like move it around. It like floats on everything because it's so soft.
Nice.
So Nate, I did not realize that you were only out of school 2 years. Do you
Yeah.
have do you kind of have a hit list of people you want to work with?
Yeah, I got a lot of them in the first couple months. I think I would love to work for the New Yorker, but you know,
Yeah.
Sports Illustrated was up there. I got to work with them. Mondo was up there for me. I got to work with them. So I promoted to a lot of like I promoted specifically to the clients that I wanted really out of school. I kept
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of different schools without it. I probably should have reached out to even more people than I did, but I kept it reasonably small and tried as best I could to see if I could have an actual conversation with people who worked at those places.
Yeah.
And it worked. It worked really well. I met some really nice people, and they were excited to give me work.
When you say you started off with like a small list, like how small? Like when like day one, day after graduation,
Yeah.
what was your list like? Like how fast did you go to work on your list?
We did it still in school. Francis made sure that we
Yeah.
had 5 like dream clients that we're going to put extra work into trying to work for, and this is Francis Vallejo again if you
Yeah.
join late. And then having a list of like 30 to 50 other ones that you could like dig up. And it's hard. I mean, like my strategy for that was mostly like going to illustrators websites that I liked and looking at their client list and you know
Mhm.
what I could do. I mean, we did that also with my class with John and Dale through Visual Arts Passage. It was a very similar kind of strategy, and I wonder where Francis got that. But
I don't know.
Yeah, I almost said that, Nate. I was like, I wonder where Francis got that idea.
no, that's how
Oh,
it
it's
goes.
you know what? You know what?
It's a great strategy.
It's a strategy that if you're a thoughtful person and you sit down and you think about how to do it right, you'd arrive at it. It's just a smart person's approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well, it
started
helps you
realizing as
avoid reinventing the wheel, you know?
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
see artists that you connect with and then you see what they did. It's so smart.
Yeah.
Well, that was when we started doing that at the academy, it's like, how do people actually do this? And that's how they actually do it. And they're like, well, that's how we have to do it. Start,
Mhm.
identify your audience.
All right. we don't have art news tonight, but I was excited to see you see Kyle Webster hopped over to Procreate.
Ooh,
Oh,
that's a huge
That's a move.
Yeah, Digital Brush published an hour ago. Somebody just shared this with me. I had a couple other stories I was going to grab, but this one, I wanted. It's only it got published an hour ago, so I got to do breaking news. So it's like
pretty
acclaimed
breaking. Yeah.
digital brush creator Kyle T. Webster joins Procreate. Um, the subheader: Disney, Pixar, Sony love his brushes. Now you can too. This I love that this art news is just completely railroading Adobe as if he
As they
never had his
should.
as if he never had his brushes there. Now you can get Kyle Webster brushes. No, yeah, he's joined teams with Procreate, so that's pretty exciting. I excited to say Kyle Webster is a guest speaker at Visual Arts Passage this summer, so be exciting. And I'm sure we're gonna get him on Drawing Hive pretty soon too.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Look forward to both. Great guest.
But it looks like I'm sure he's going to be doing some development, but is also working on the improvement of the current brushes in the Procreate library. So pretty exciting.
awesome.
Do you guys follow his newsletter?
Mm-mm.
I
He's got
do.
it's a great newsletter. It's solid. It's worth subscribing to. It's usually a couple times a week, and he's got some great musings.
How's he do that? A couple times a week, you said?
Yeah, at least once, at minimum once.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm so impressed. That's so much work on top of like professional
yeah.
work.
He also developed a meditation app for drawing. And it's like an advanced app. It's pretty cool. He's a busy guy. Yeah. Yeah. So that's art news this week. Breaking art news.
That's some good breaking art news.
Yeah, kind of a big win for Procreate. Good job.
Pretty good win for Kyle too.
Yeah. Oh, he was gonna land on his feet no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
That guy it's just an avenue of green lights. Things just work out for him. Yeah.
It's funny
There's
how
some it's funny how that happens.
yeah, consistently. It's like I think he's
Yeah.
pushing that,
Yeah.
driving.
Yeah. So I will say we should move on to we're kind of off the clock, on the clock a little bit tonight, but we're gonna move on to the last pose. It's hashtag yes chef Hive, hashtag Drawing Hive, and at Visual Arts Passage. Please share your work with us. We're gonna check it out at the end, and I'm excited to see what's going on tonight. This will be some good stuff, and then some stuff. I'm actually loving it that we're posting this work like a week early, because then people are getting like a couple days. It allows some rumination. It's fun.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I
I
don't
love it.
think I'm liking it all that much. It's like
Yeah.
puts so much pressure on us in here.
Yeah.
I'm cheap.
People on Instagram have no idea.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna have to start writing 20 minutes on your stuff. So when somebody goes through the Drawing Hive hashtag, they're not like, what? Someone will be like 9 days.
It's an interesting thing though. I hear Nate's opinion about this and Cassandra, but it doesn't matter if a drawing was done in 10 minutes or 10 hours. It's either good or it's not.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it had, there's something to it. I know limitations have a lot to do with it, but when you see somebody do something, you don't ever think about time usually. You just think about if you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe each of you guys can help come up with this. Who do you think had the slowest process of known illustrators? So not like a like a name, not maybe just somebody we know.
Maxfield Parrish was pretty slow.
Really?
just because he worked in glazes on top of glazes. And,
Yeah,
and he-
yeah. His sky was like 20 layers of cerulean blue.
yeah.
Really?
Well, it's like we talked about Brandywine earlier. It's like huge difference. First of all, the art directors and the illustrators are communicating by letter, by the U.S. mail.
Oh yeah.
There wasn't op-ed pages that were 8-hour illustration jobs. They were like 6 and 8 months that they had to work on assignments.
Yeah. Does that precede the U.S. highway system too?
I don't know.
What year? What years?
So 18 starting like 1890.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There wasn't very
Yeah,
cars weren't popular then, right?
believe it or not,
Yeah.
the buggy system wasn't as advanced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe what the uh, telegraph.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The Pony Express.
But so you had way more time to
They had lots
you could
of
be a
time to work
different
on it.
person. You'd be a different
but-
person by the time you get your feedback.
Right, but
Yeah.
what was interesting about it is like you go to Brandywine,
Yeah.
a lot of those illustrations are 4 and 5 feet tall. They're huge.
Yeah.
Really.
And they're painted in, some of them are, really beautifully painted in oil and, something you couldn't do, at a certain point in the illustration industry. You just didn't have the time and the luxury to do that. Certainly you'd have a hard time making a living at it.
Right. What are your Nate? What is your deadline management like? You feel like you're so young. Do
Yeah.
you do a lot of late nights? Or are you on top of that?
It depends. I do less late nights or fewer late nights now. I can
Yeah.
already start. I feel it like the next day a lot more than I did when I was 19 in school. So I
Mhm.
try to keep to a pretty regular schedule. I mean, it depends. Every once in a while, you get one that it's like, oh, I've got this other project going, but I don't want to pass this one up, so I'm gonna like not sleep on Thursday and just see if I can get it done. But it's
Yeah.
it's hard to do that. It's not super sustainable, and the work suffers when you're sleep deprived. It's not the same as art school where you just pin it up and your still life wasn't quite as nice as everyone else's. You got to make sure the quality is really there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be fixing someone's car, on no sleep for the past 36 hours because you'd screw it up.
Right.
At least you hope you wouldn't be.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
So I hear, Nate, you'll get a kick out of this conversation group of faculty at the Illustration Academy, Sterling included. And it was kind of stemmed by Sterling because he had just like spent 2 nights in a row missing sleep finishing a project while he was at the academy. He was really young. It was one of his first big, it was actually an advertising project for Red Bull. And it was a really big deal for him. And he had like lost all the sleep and he was really struggling. He was kind of recovering from it. It was over with. And we were sitting around the studio and he asked the question, he says, how many times have you had to do that in your career? It kind of went around the room. And it was, George Pratt and John Foster and myself, and I don't know who else was in the room. There was quite a few of us. And Gary Kelly was there. And they got to Gary and they asked him, well, how many times have you've ever had to stay up all night to finish an illustration? He just looked at everybody and said, never. He goes, why would I do that? And then it's like so perfect because it's Gary Kelly. So
Yeah.
of course he never had to. He's brilliant.
Especially the way he works.
Yeah,
Crazy.
never. What a great answer. We were all just like, God, we feel stupid.
But some people wear that like a badge of honor.
I know they do.
And it drives me nuts. Yeah.
It's like you should have started earlier.
Yeah. It's up there with like for me and John, it's like this for you with like artists probably, but like me, I always think about it with rappers when they're always like, yeah, none of that was written in advance. And you're like, I can tell. Right? Or like I didn't use reference, and it's
Yeah,
like,
so that's
yeah,
my favorite one. I
I
didn't
can
use
tell.
reference. Yeah, you don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it's like, yeah, I did that on Zero Sleep. And it's like, yeah, it shows.
Yeah,
I
it always suffers. I mean, even if you
Yeah.
do a good job, you think, man, what would that have been if my brain would have been there? Like,
Yeah.
what if I had just gotten reverence for that portion?
Nate, I can't tell you how many illustrations, it's like if I had the opportunity, it's like, man, I wish I had another shot at that. I wish I could do that again. But that's not that business, It's like one of the, why we push process so much, why you work on skill, craft, whatever you need to do, be able to solve problems quicker with ideation, whatever it is that gives you that advantage to work quickly and to move quickly. It's a big part of that business, at least on the editorial side for sure.
Definitely.
Not as much in other areas. Publishing, you have a little bit more time. Advertising, you may or may not. A lot of things depends on the illustration world. A lot of things is dependent on when you get approval. And you can get approval on something, and they'll wait to get it approved from the art director or the creative director. And then it will be like, okay, we need this in 2 days after they've taken 2 weeks to approve it.
Yeah. Wait, to answer your thing about advertising, John, I can tell you right now, if illustrators are getting a reasonable amount of time to do work for advertising, they are the only creatives getting allowed to do that. Because my experience has been literally everyone involved is getting ground out. Like,
Yeah.
Like deadlines are way too fast. There's no, I talk with Dan Billen, the guy who created our song. Like that's one of his like hills he wants to die on, is like nobody wants any time to like digest creative in advertising. It's kind of strange.
Yeah. I mean, I did my share of advertising jobs, and it usually wasn't like at the beginning, it seemed like you had a lot of time.
Yeah, it's definitely different than when you were doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, but even on the project, it was like in the beginning,
Yeah.
it seemed like you had a lot of time, but it got eaten up with committee and getting approvals, that type of thing. And
Mhm.
and then it came down to a crunch at some point.
Yep.
And
When I edit, that's all, no matter what, if I am extremely economical with my time, everything, no matter what, the final day, I'm always up till like 4 a.m. It doesn't matter. It's just the way like a group of people, like it's just the structure of it. It sucks. So I try to avoid that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough when you're the last person on the
Yeah.
queue, and if there's a
Yeah.
problem anywhere before you, you're the
Yeah.
last
You
to-
nailed it, Nate. If you're the last person,
Really.
you're the last, you're like where the buck
Yep.
stops. And so,
Yep.
yeah.
last stop on the train.
Yeah.
but it can pay so well. That's
Sometimes.
that's the seductive part about advertising.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, I've had so many deadlines where I found out then that like the people that had to, once it was turned in, like those people weren't even in the office that day.
Oh,
And you're like, I was up till 4 a.m. And then you submit it. I submit the link and I get like an out of office email. And I'm like, what?
Oh, it used to happen to me all the time, Timmy.
I like lose my mind. I'm like, what? And it's like a Friday. So you're like, nobody's even going to see this till Monday. I had like 4 days.
Yeah, that used to happen to me all the time. It'd be so frustrating. They're on vacation.
Yeah.
You're going to be back at the end of next week, and it had to be here today. Well, that's when the
Yeah.
deadline was.
Yeah. worked with an advertise. This is years ago. Worked with a major firm, major national firm, and they made a huge deadline, Thanksgiving Day. They made everybody do this deadline for Thanksgiving Day, and so everything got turned in, and then it was months later. We all get an email that it was like, "Hey, we just wanted to follow up on this project from the client. We never received it." Like months later, the project was submitted from the agency months late. It was oh, people went nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they lost that account. So,
Well, no, I mean, no, the client, that's actually the thing is like working direct to client is actually really great because like that was just an agency creating an arbitrary deadline. That's what everybody immediately learned. Like, whoa, we got this like super chill email from the client that was like, hey, just wanted to know what's going on, like, and we're like, oh, this is the thing we worked on Thanksgiving for, like, yeah. So no, you make concessions whatever direction you take,
that's true.
yeah. But
Nate, what's the surface you're drawing on?
This is just a piece of cardboard. I don't really know where it's from. I have a big
Nice.
stack of them. I'm not sure where they came from or where they're. I mean, I guess they'll just slowly turn into pieces. But I like working on a tone surface sometimes. Just after I get some of the darks figured out here, I can drop in the lights real easy, especially on a time crunch. Can help me work a lot faster, so I have to build up every single rendered section.
Nice.
Well, cardboard is an approved product on this show.
Indeed, it
I
is.
didn't do my homework.
sponsored.
I was really crossing my fingers there.
Do you all, John, Nate, do you all have a celebrity that you've drawn that has become a favorite of yours during your editorial careers?
That's a good question. I don't know if I've had a repeat. Yeah, I gotta think about it.
Yeah,
You
you have
know-
many celebrities ahead of you, Nate. You've got many in your future.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did portraits of lots of famous people, but most of them were dead.
Really?
Uh-huh.
But I mean, like, I mean more not like not that they were your hero. I mean, they could be a bad person. I meant
Just
like,
a good face to draw. or-
yeah, so, yeah.
Oh.
You could say a bad person for this answer.
I did
Yeah.
probably one of my favorite illustration projects I did for GQ. I did 6 celebrities that all had died from chemical addiction.
Okay.
I did Belushi and Hendrix and Janis Joplin.
Wow.
I gotta think of their names.
Morrison.
No, Yul Brynner
Hmm.
and Humphrey Bogart. And then Lynn Bias had just died of cocaine. It's like when people first started talking about crack.
I
And
see.
Lynn Bias was a famous college basketball star. It was like
I remember that. Yeah.
first round draft pick.
Yeah.
He died of a heart attack. And I think that Janet, learning more, learning about Janis Joplin's life, and that was one of my favorite projects that had to do with like popular celebrity.
She's a good face. Yeah. I remember that piece you did of James Joplin.
Thanks.
It was a really good piece.
I had a lot of fun with Bing Crosby. He was he has a great face to draw. I was surprised. I
That's
I never really
years.
listened to him much, but it was a good one to draw.
He's good eyes.
Yes. And Elvis was really fun to draw too.
I've never drawn Elvis. Except, well, I haven't here. I don't know if it was in here or in the other session we did. But it's the only time I've only drawn Elvis once.
Yeah. There are a lot of different ways you can go with him, which is always kind of fun. You can emphasize different things or draw different iterations of Elvis since he changed physically so much.
Mm.
That was pretty fun to work on.
Hey, I was looking at your Bryce Harper
Oh yeah.
work. Did you do the animation for that as well?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Whoa. Can I show is it all right if I share your
Yeah,
website?
go for it. Go for
Oh,
it.
sweet. This is beautiful. I
Thank
I
you.
think it will play. Let's see. Is it playing for y'all?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's really impressive.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I've been trying to work motion stuff into my bag of tricks slowly. Definitely does not
That's
come like
smart.
super naturally to me, but it
It
forces me
looks
to
like it's
try.
coming naturally.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's amazing. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was
Oh,
looking
no,
for
no.
I was looking for your Elvis and I stumbled across that and I was like, whoa. Yeah.
I saw that you had a Newsweek sample that was animated also. I'm not a Newsweek, a
New Yorker.
New
Yeah.
Yorker cover animated.
Yes.
That was a really nice piece.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't know how feasible it is. I've done it on one editorial job that will come out soon. That's my first time animating for editorial. I kept it reasonably simple, but I wonder, it's a difficult thing to work in when you already have such a limited amount of time for a lot of editorial. So
It's interesting that several interviews I've done. Well, one of them, Tony Rodriguez, and the other, Doug Chayka, talked a lot. The value of, it can be a difference maker because if people want animation and you don't know how to do it, you're not going to get the job.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing to have in your tool bag right now.
So Nate, I've noticed pretty quickly, like, first of all, you're a Chicago guy. Were you missed like the tail end of like the golden era of like the Chicago Bulls, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was definitely on the tail end. I thought I was getting it again with Derrick Rose, and then
Yeah.
that was a little tough.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's where
outside of the
it's where knees go to
Cubs,
my
outside of the Cubs in 2015,
Yeah.
2016, 2017, it's been pretty dire. Chicago.
My intention was not to like rub sports problems in your face, but anyway, I noticed that like it's whenever you see like an illustrator, an artist that like connects with athletics, I feel like it's kind of special. And I just noticed like you seem like a guy that appreciates sports. Like I could see it in a lot of your work. Is that something you grew up with?
Yeah, I mean, we like in my dad's studio when I was growing up learning how to draw, I would mostly like I'd be kind of either sitting on his lap if he would let me, or hanging out in the studio and he would have Sports Center on or whatever game on, and I would be drawing and doing my own thing kind of. So I love it as a backdrop for
Yeah.
art. I mean, it just I don't know, like the sounds of the game and just kind of the excitement. You're like looking up and down. It's a big thing for me. I played a lot of sports growing up. I wasn't really not that good at any of them, but I mean, I love. I mean, it's just great stuff to draw. I mean, it's just the way everyone's bodies are moving, and it's like great reference to draw from. It's so inspiring.
Yeah. And do you gravitate towards any like the NFL, NBA, anything?
I watch
MLB?
Chicago Bears football is really my only like appointment viewing. Like I'm watching every one of these games.
I like that appointment viewing.
This is
Yeah.
I'm like making
Yeah.
time in my schedule on a Sunday for
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
So that's the big one for me. But
Yeah.
I'm kind of a fair weather fan as far as my viewing
Right.
energy for other sports. I don't really
Right.
It's hard to watch the other ones when your team isn't good. But
Yeah. But like, and then I see like a ton of stuff that's like really historical work on like athletes. Do you do a ton of research for that, or are you pretty schooled in that?
I think I'm reasonably schooled in it. I spent a lot of time as a kid just like looking at baseball reference and being like, wow, Rogers Hornsby hit 425 in the 20. Like, I don't know, like just really getting into the weeds of different sports history and things of that nature. Yeah, there's the George Mikan one, super old school basketball. Yeah,
I saw that and I was like, this kid, I was like,
this
this kid was born in like the mid 90s.
Yeah,
Not even, no, not even,
No.
not even early aughts. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Amazing.
always loved history. I love sports, so it just
Yeah.
kind of goes hand in hand for me.
Well,
This stuff is awesome.
baseball is such a great, Chris Payne, Gary Davis, Mark Chiarella. I mean, so many illustrators have gravitated toward it because the photography on it is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Everybody's outside with these single light sources, the old black and white stuff.
the ball cap shadows cast
Yeah,
on.
and the shapes are the uniforms, the shapes, the action. There's so much great stuff.
Wow.
The other thing I was going to tell you, you'll get a kick out of this if you don't already know it, that one of your favorite illustrators is a huge Chicago Bears fan.
Gary Kelly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good deal.
Yes.
So he goes to games every year, at least one game every year.
He got to, watch them while they were actually good too. I really envy him.
I think he was watching them when they were good several times.
Yeah.
Watching them very long.
I don't know if they've been good several times, but maybe 3.
Well, it's like through the, you got to see him through the Walter Payton and the Butkus era even. I mean, he's old enough to have seen Did Butkus, I'm sure.
It's pretty amazing.
Oh, well, I have a Chicago Bears stat question for you, Nate. Haven't they been around long enough that they are like technically like wins over the lifetime of the franchise, like the most winningest?
I think they were. I think the Packers just passed them.
Yeah.
I think we just gave that up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
rival.
I'm sorry. I keep
Pretty
bringing
bad.
up bad
Yeah,
Chicago
geez.
names.
Oh, salute,
You're
man.
planning this.
I was just trying to give you something. You're like,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
they took that from us.
Hey Nate,
I mean, why don't you make them feel better and just start
Yeah.
talking about how great it is to be a Chiefs fan right now?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear that from us again.
No.
Yeah.
Then we can bring Travis Kelce in and Taylor Swift and everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys are the center of the football world right now. It's pretty.
It really is. It is an oddity because I was okay. I've always been a football fan, but I couldn't. It was really hard to become a Chiefs fan. I've lived in Kansas City for 40 years now, and it was really hard to become a Chiefs fan because they're so bad. And now it would be really easy right now for something that was.
Yeah.
So-
Man, AO is looking awesome, Nate. That's
Oh,
amazing.
Thank you. Tell me more about influences, Nate.
Yeah, that's a great. I mean, since we were just on the topic of Gary Kelly, he was, I think, as I got more into high school, my art teacher had us doing a lot of printmaking stuff, and we started doing monotypes and that sort of thing. And
Right.
my dad was like, "You really got to look at some of these Gary Kelly monotypes." And after seeing those, I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" And I kind of went on a deep dive for a while with his work. So he was really big earlier on for me, kind of before I discovered, Sterling and other people who learned from Gary Kelly and continued pushing it. But also Bernie Fuchs was a really big one at that time. I feel like usually when I'm making a picture, I'm mostly thinking about Gary Kelly and Bernie Fuchs, kind of back and forth.
That's a good place to be.
But they work very differently, and I don't really think if I really like had to try and copy them, I don't think I could, which is why, it's a good person to think about, because you're not going to accidentally copy someone who you can't, work as well as.
That's super
Pretty
interesting.
well.
That's so interesting. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like if you set that up as the target and you're always going to miss it, you'll eventually start landing in an interesting way that's a little more you.
So
I mean, that's the way I thought about everything while I was at school. It's like, I'm going to try to do a Francis piece right now. And there's no way at 19 I was going to be able to do a good Francis piece. But then the ways that I missed, it ended up being a Nate piece because I had to cut corners in different ways because I couldn't pull off a lot of stuff he was doing. So I don't know. I wonder how many people, learn that way versus the more like really getting in touch with what you do specifically. But it's always been imitation has been a big part of me unlocking new things, just like living with how another artist works for 8 hours while you try to do what they do.
Well, I mean this as a complete compliment. You can certainly see the influences, but you can also, the compliment side of it is, I can see where you're taking it.
Mm.
And that's really the trick. That's the job. It's how do you learn through somebody and then make something unique that's yours from it. And you've done an excellent job with it.
Thank you, John. And part of it's too like adding more influences to your bag as you keep going, like
And then chasing those people's influences is really helpful too.
oh
Like-
yeah, it's huge.
Uh, I was at you were there too, Cassandra, when we were at the Brandywine,
Yeah.
and Gary handed me a book. See if you can guess who the book was of, Nate.
At Brandywine,
Yeah. One of his biggest, and he didn't really have anything with those
Edwin
other-
Dickinson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He handed me a book, and I had never seen Edwin Dickinson before. That was in 2003, right? 2004, something like that. 2, 3, something.
2002.
And I had never seen Edwin Dickinson before, and I was looking at it and was like, well, that explains a lot.
I went through the same thing.
And then earlier on when I figured out who Tamara de Olympia was, and he, like, very straightforward. It's like, hey, I was learning through these people, and he's very very open about it.
Yeah.
Always talking about his new influences. He sent me a book when he went to a Max Beckman show. It was actually in St. Louis. Went to this Max Beckman show, and he got me a book from there. And he goes, I'm showing you it now. He says, but I'm going to steal this guy. I am going to rob from this man and reappropriate. And he does it beautifully. It alters his path, and it's so cool when you see somebody that's that good, and we all identify him as something, of that, we identify the work as his, and then you see bits and pieces of it coming from other people. It's so cool.
That's the coolest.
Yep.
Everybody, for those of you who are slower with technology, now is the time to start thinking about posting it to Instagram. It's hashtag Drawing Hive, hashtag Yes Chef Hive, and at Visual Arts Passage. Please share it. We're going to check it out in probably 10 minutes or so, maybe a little less.
We're going to keep you on your toes, not tell you exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nate, something that, and I'm sure you've already discovered this, but I know you're so young, but art, like, appreciating other artists and meeting other artists, there's like age disappears.
Oh, totally.
You meet older artists meet younger artists, and there's like no age barrier. And, because the interest, oh my God, that's great, Cassandra.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks.
I love it.
You nailed him. That's awesome.
That is so good.
I loved everything about his outfit, his hat. It took me a while to figure out the hat, the wrinkles. I don't know
You
if I
should
told
definitely tag Maddie Madison. You should definitely, for
you.
sure.
All right, I
It's
will
too
tag
good. John, it's funny you say that about the like it's like age is in the art, like the phrase age is
invisible.
just a number. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because there are so many arts, there's so many arts where that is just absolutely not the case. Right.
Really?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm not saying that you can't be a great musician, but like to succeed, like
Oh,
there are doors that definitely close, It's not that you can't be continue. I mean, like, it's just the it's like the flaw in having to just appeal to the masses, you know.
Yeah, the visual arts, you get to age and your work
Yeah.
gets more exciting as you mature
Yeah.
in working. But especially more physical arts like dance,
Yeah.
like it's you can be inspired by the work they've done, but they may not be able to do the work that they
Yeah.
were doing.
Yeah. Yeah. SNL is not, there are funny people over the age of 40. SNL's not casting them though.
Right, right.
Yeah. Uh, I don't know. Yeah.
I
It's
get what you're saying
interesting.
now.
It's an interesting thing because like I've heard it from some comics recently where they're like, there's this group of there's this class of comedians who just are like just refusing to pass the torch on, like, and kind of like step out of the spotlight and give it to this younger class.
Did they have to step out while the other one steps up? Like, can't they?
I think that
There?
they're really just talking about like taking advantage of like capitalizing on like major just putting out trash, but like occupying like a lot of budgets on like streaming.
Hmm.
I could name a few.
You can kind of see that with the way like we're not getting as many big comedies every year and they're not doing as
Yeah.
well. Like
Yeah.
there's probably a little less to go around maybe in that circle specifically where
Yeah. Yeah.
Like-
But like, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting, like, I always think that that's cool about like, there's not a lot of like comedy schools, but like, artists, visual artists tend to want to like pass on the process and things like that. There's not like as much, it doesn't appear that there's as much gatekeeping.
Well,
I'm
I
sure
think
there's,
because
I'm sure there's plenty,
you can
but
share your process and still show your work, like
yeah.
because like Nate, he's very generous with sharing his process, but he's also confident in the fact that the path he got to his style is very unique to him. And even
Right.
somebody emulating him can't emulate the process that he's learned things in the way that he
Mhm.
thinks.
Right.
and I wouldn't have ever gotten to the point where I could do what I can do if other people hadn't shared their process with me. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
like what's the point if all right, nope, the buck stops here. No one else gets the information. Like I
Yeah.
don't have more right to it than anyone else.
Yeah, but Nate, I'm not going to mention any names. I know several past illustrators, notable illustrators that would not talk about what they did or how they do it. I even know current ones that do that.
Yeah.
You can see that. I just
And
don't
it's like they think it's their, it's going to affect their livelihood in some way that somebody's going to figure out and imitate them.
Yeah.
Like-
It's insecure.
Yeah. Yeah, the really secure ones, it's like Gary Kelly's perfect example. It's like, show you everything I do, show you how to do it.
Yeah.
Then he would turn around and goes, you won't be able to do it.
Good. Here's how you
luck.
do it. Good luck. Yeah.
Good luck.
That's nice.
My dad used to joke about that all the time. It's like, knock yourself out.
Or taking pride in the performance of someone after you teach it to them. I mean,
Oh, yeah. You don't
I mean,
think
that's awesome.
So exciting.
Yeah. Some people don't feel that. They get jealous.
oh my gosh.
I mean, I feel bigger wins when I'm teaching someone how to do something and watching unlock that. Oh, like that is much more. It's so much easier to experience the world, I think, through someone else sometimes than it is yourself. You can actually see what's happening.
Well, you have a better perspective when you get to watch somebody else go through it.
Yes, 100%.
I'll tell you a funny story, Nate, that when Francis won his gold medal at Spectrum,
Yeah.
I presented it to him.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we stood behind the screen and cried for about 5 minutes.
That's
I
beautiful.
was so proud of that guy.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about somebody that's like bettered himself in so many ways. He's just a awesome guy.
He really is.
And he's the real deal.
That's amazing.
That's some of my favorite experiences. Sterling invited me to present his 9th medal at the Society of Illustrators to him a few years back, and same scenario. Just like, God, it was so cool to be able to see somebody that not that I had that much influence in Sterling's career, but he was a student at one point. I mean, he was going to be great no matter what, but he, just seeing him become him, it was so cool. Cassandra, feel the same way.
I'm honored I've gotten to learn from you, truly.
Again, it's like my job as an educator has been putting you in the right room with the right people. That's what I always tell people. I just need to put you in front of this person and you'll figure it out.
I
Well,
will
I
say
mean,
this.
you introduced me to professional artists doing the job, like really doing the job, not like kind of on the side, but like that was how they made their livelihood. And I didn't know anyone that was purely doing the job before I knew you in Illustration Academy.
Wow.
That was huge for me.
It verifies it can be done.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
I will say this though. I'll say this because I'll be honest. I did have somebody that was asking me for help on editing years ago. This is like over 10 years ago. And I helped him a little bit, was just getting them set up, like the very basics. And they were mostly directing at the time, and they were doing well as a director, and they ended up bidding against me on a job for an edit, and they won because they bid like half of what I bid. But they had no idea how to do motion graphics, and they contacted me to help them with it, and I was like, all right, we've crossed the threshold.
Well, that's a different situation.
No, I know, but I feel compelled to share that. Just
I was say the answer is I taught you to fish. Now go
yeah,
fish.
the security of I feel like I should be transparent that I have
You
been a
just took my
gatekeeper.
fish.
Yeah.
That's like a very kung fu master versus student. Like, I taught you a lot, but I didn't teach you everything. Like,
Yeah.
not going to.
Totally.
I was not super composed either in explaining that.
Yeah,
I definitely that was a more reactive era of my life. Yeah,
pretty cool.
I was just going through life reacting. Yeah.
Nate, you'll get a kick out of this. And during figure drawing, when Sterling, he wasn't a student anymore. He was just, I think it was like the first year he taught with us at the academy. He and Gary, I mean, they became very close, became good friends. And, he's Sterling's so wildly talented and tried so hard and just pleasure to be around. Gary really enjoyed him. And they were sitting together one night and this competition with the life drawing started. And they started trash talking each other, which is so unusual for a life drawing session.
That's awesome.
And Sterling was really getting into it. And Gary turned around and he goes, hands one to Sterling, goes, "Hey, I did that one with my left hand." And Sterling's response, he thought he was being so cute. He said, I did this one with my eyes closed. And Gary looked at me and goes, yeah, I can tell.
That's good. The classic
It
yeah,
was
I
one
can
of my
tell.
one of my favorite moments of my life that I witnessed
Yeah.
that.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty great. All
Yeah.
right, I'm heading over to Instagram in a minute, everybody.
I think I did this one with my eyes closed. Jeez.
No, John, I think it looks so cool. And like,
Oh no, I just killed it.
is that the one where you were able to put water over it?
Yeah. I tried.
No, you succeeded.
All
It's
right.
cool.
I do like that there's a group of people that DM us like, man, it's the worst when John says
They get mad. They get mad at John.
They get mad. Yeah. Like, what is he talking about? Some great stuff here. Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
One more.
Charlotta's face.
I'm giving it 60 seconds. Yeah.
Here we go.
Maddie Madison you just want to hug him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I want a meal by him, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You got to give him a follow, Cassandra. You'll love it. Yeah. It was like the heyday of Vice News. He wasn't like, he didn't work there. It was just, he was always like featured in something. It was so much fun.
That's cool. I would definitely will.
It was before Vice News was weird.
It did
Yeah.
get weird.
Yeah. 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 Awesome stuff.
Oh my gosh, Charlotta.
Oh, wow.
Charlotta.
Cool.
Whoa.
So cool.
That's awesome,
Oh,
Charlotte.
yeah.
Wow, lovely.
Nice.
That's really nice too.
Hell yeah.
Ooh, I like how you handled that.
Oh, whoa, that's awesome.
Oh, that's lovely.
I just want to take 1 minute, not even a minute, a second to say classes start soon, July 13th. So we're getting close to the 10 days left. So if you're considering illustration or fine arts as a career, we are the place to go. I mean, you're going to set your goals and we're going to help you get across the finish line by developing skill, building your portfolio and getting out there. So, go to the website if you want. You can also email hello@visualartspassage.com. Happy to set up a time to chat. But yeah, we're enrolling now. Classes start July 13th. We've got a killer lineup of guest speakers. It's going to be a good one.
Nate, when are you going to be a guest speaker?
You guys let me know.
Honestly, probably Nate, you're probably gonna keep an eye on your inbox.
Depends
Check
on
your email.
how well
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
you know,
fun.
my performance was today. You might go, we like him president nonsense.
No,
You're awesome.
Never.
Nate, I'm already talking with Randy and I'm saying we got to do our first father-son episode.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
Ken
Yes.
Junior,
Yeah.
Ken Griffey thing going on.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. Oh, that's
Oh,
great.
Yeah.
Love-
I love the
Xander.
tattoo. I love the
Killer
tattoo.
tattoo.
You know, see, we weren't
Yeah.
bugging Xander to look stuff up tonight. He was working.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Great stuff.
fantastic. Yes.
Whoa.
Oh, that's really good.
Oh, I want to say my friend in Italy. I'm going there soon. I'm getting it. Gonna be
Yeah.
a citizen.
Oh, that's cool. I love how you handled that.
That's amazing.
That's fun. Wow.
Oh, man,
Dang,
Randy.
Randy.
Nice
Gonna give dad a like.
Yeah.
My
Showing
birthday.
up, man.
Oh, that's awesome, Felicity.
Wow, Felicity.
Dang, that's
Really
amazing.
That was cool.
All right, that was our promo.
Man, that doesn't look anything like the reference.
Ooh, Terry doing it.
Donuts.
That's so good, Terry.
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
Really nice.
awesome stuff. Love it.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful.
Oh my gosh. That's
Lovely.
awesome. Love it. That's sweet. I love it.
Oh, I love that.
The bear.
It had a very Wes Anderson style to it.
Totally.
Good job.
Okay.
Nice.
That's very nice.
Mhm.
New people, new person. Nice.
Welcome. Ooh,
Thanks, Xander.
nice.
You got that done.
Eric.
Ooh,
That's great, Eric.
That's
I
awesome.
love that.
Eric's in our portfolio class. Charlotta, I mean, there's a bunch of our students in here.
Great job.
Age-
Oh, dang, AJ. I love that.
Great, AJ. Jeez.
It's
Damn.
beautiful. Ooh, Rebecca.
Oh,
Fantastic.
nice.
Really good. Oh, I love that.
Good
Wow.
chicks.
That was
Yeah,
good.
really.
That's great.
Dang,
Love it.
Alberto. Man, that's
Nice.
good.
You
Wow.
got Jeff.
Yes. Love it. Now it's like I'm sad if I don't see that every week.
Very nice.
Great job. Really nice, Paul.
That's Paul. Nice, Paul.
Yeah, nice.
Paul,
stuff.
I always identify your stuff. That's a good set. That's a good thing.
Mhm. Harry, you got a lot done.
Dang. That's awesome.
Really nice.
Wow.
Wow. Just doodling. I love that.
Oh, Nicole, I love this
Mhm.
one. Yeah,
great.
I love that one, Nicole.
Good attitude for the,
Mm-hmm. It matched Maddie's vibe.
yep,
Ooh,
that's nice.
lovely.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Good stuff.
Beautiful line
Man,
work.
and Xander, I love it.
Man, you got
Always
them
love
all
it.
done? What?
Wow. That wasn't our reference.
Great one.
Fantastic.
Very accurate.
Terry definitely watches the show.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely a fan.
Very faithful
That's
to the source.
awesome.
Oh, that's
That was like
fantastic.
an homage to that Rockwell piece. I like it.
Love it. Yeah, that sounds like Rockwell.
Good.
Let it
Really
rip.
great job.
Yeah, in the words of Rockwell, let it rip. Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Oh, nice.
Great job. My gosh. I love
wow.
how you handled
That is a fun drawing.
Beard.
It is. Oh,
Way to go,
that's
Peter.
pretty good.
Great.
That's
Look
pretty
at
good.
that. Oh my gosh.
Nice, Pete.
So much. Great job, Peter.
Oh, awesome.
Ooh,
That's fun,
Nice.
Nicole.
that's lovely. Amazing line work.
Nice drawing.
Jeremy Allen White is like, he's like a hot guy, but like also like looks hungover all the time. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it looks like a Greek sculpture.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Good
great
stuff.
job.
That's awesome.
That's
a
really
great pick.
nice.
That's so cool. I love it.
Ooh.
That's awesome.
That is so
Oh man, that's great.
cool.
That's wild.
That is so
Really
cool.
Good stuff. Oh, beautiful.
Wow, Karen.
Wow. Good one.
Really? Yeah, a lot of work.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Great rendering.
Wow. Nice, Julian.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Oh, man.
Really nice, Julian.
That was different for you, Julian. I love it.
Great job.
Whoa.
Really nice.
A lot of talent
Really
tonight.
nice.
Nate, did you bring all your talented friends?
Yeah, they all showed me up.
Everybody was like, we got to show up and
Oh.
Come on.
Wow, that is
Love
fantastic.
Alberto, that piece,
Beautiful.
how you got the texture too.
Oh my God, that looks like a toony drawing.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Beautiful.
I'll go back. I'm gonna
So
give this.
good. Look
I'm
at
gonna
that.
give this one.
Yes, that
That
deserved
one
a
gets the
whoa.
whoa.
That's my favorite drawing of tonight.
Yeah. This one?
No,
Yeah.
the previous.
Oh, yeah.
But that one
Nice.
was really good.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
too.
do that.
I just
That
want to
was-
say it did a fantastic job.
that was a horrible setup on my part. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, so cool, Jeff.
Good
I
stuff.
swear you get like 9 done.
Wow.
That's wild.
Oh, that's good.
Damn.
I'm so impressed with how many people got the background behind him on that.
I know. A
That's
lot
so
of
cool.
trays. A lot of trays.
A lot of trays. I
Wow.
love that.
That's
Wow.
fun.
Your work tonight is
Holy
awesome.
moly.
So is that.
Oh my gosh.
Beautiful.
Melissa, nice.
Beautiful. Ooh,
Marcy.
Marcy. Yes.
Damn.
Wow.
Fantastic,
I
man.
bet you, Nate, I bet your dad started it on Monday, like right when
Oh,
I
no,
posted
that's-
these.
Okay, I gotta ask, having a father as an
Yeah.
artist, is there competition there?
Yeah, I think there is a little bit. I think it's just natural, but
Well, you can't,
Lovely, Karen.
I'm gonna say this, and I mean this in the best sense, but your dad won tonight.
oh, he totally did. He did great.
I personally think you both did fantastic.
Yeah, I think you both
Oh,
did.
Oh, I think you're great, but I mean,
oh,
I just have to push you a little bit. Having a dad as an artist,
Just know, Nate, you
Nate,
know,
can I-
when
Nate,
John
can I talk
starts
with
smack
you?
talking you, it means
Yeah.
he considers you worthy.
Yeah, Nate, can I talk with you privately for a second? I just want to let you know that there's a loyalty that John has with anybody over the age of 40, I think.
that's right.
no, no.
Being a dad,
He was great.
it should be the other way around. I didn't win
Yeah.
very often as a with my.
Yeah. This is great stuff.
Ooh, that's so fun. Yes.
Amazing. Wow, we got a lot of art tonight.
Great job.
Some good stuff
Oh,
tonight.
man. Y'all
Wow.
knocked it out of the park tonight. Dang it. Alberto, how
wow.
many did you get done, man?
I know,
That's
right?
beautiful too.
They're all amazing.
We're seeing that.
Wow.
Ah,
Yeah, that was a
lovely.
Getting
repeat.
replays here.
Amazing.
So good. So good.
Very nice, Melissa.
So
Yeah.
good.
Good stuff.
That's cool.
There you go, Peter.
Love it.
Wow.
That's
Okay,
cool.
that's it. I just want to remind everybody, first of all, Nate, amazing night. Thank you so much for being on. Really
Of
had a great
course.
time.
Thank you.
We are taking July 4th off. We're still going to post reference. We are coming back after the 4th. We're going to have a special guest. We're going to have Keith Knight. Keith Knight is a cartoonist, does a lot of political cartoons, a lot of really amazing projects. He's
Awesome
known-
show.
yeah, he's known for being the creator of Hulu's series Woke, starring Lamorne Morris. And so Keith's going to come on the show. We're going to have a ton to talk about. Yeah, we got a whole bunch of guests lined up. And Nate, thank you so much for kicking it off.
Nate,
'cause
thanks
you
for
were
coming.
awesome.
It was so awesome.
Thank you. Thank you
Nate,
for
you're
having me.
awesome, man.
Thanks.
Just absolutely killing it. Keep it going.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra. Thanks, Timmy. It was a fun
Thank
night.
you.